Once upon a time, there lived a kind and hardworking man named Jude. Jude came from a poor background. He was an orphan and had a tough life, struggling to make ends meet. Jude had a little sister named Lisa, who he worked very hard to provide for. Even though Jude was a graduate, he had never been able to get a good job. He worked tirelessly, but his efforts were not rewarded with a good income. He felt like an elephant that walked a lot but ate like an ant, meaning he didn't get enough for all his hard work. Lisa relied on him for everything, and this motivated Jude to keep working hard. Although Jude worked a lot, he had a hobby of watching wrestling regularly. One day, a guy named Musa, who also regularly visited the sports center, noticed Jude's passion for wrestling. Musa struck up a conversation with Jude, and they discovered they both supported the same wrestling champion. From that day on, Jude and Musa became good friends. Musa often visited Jude at his home, where he met Jude's sister, Lisa. Jude introduced Lisa as his world and the person he loved most in life. One day, Jude and Musa went to watch a wrestling match as usual. Musa suggested they place a bet, but Jude was hesitant, saying he had no idea how to do it. Jude asked Musa to place a bet for him, but Musa replied that he didn't have the money to place the bet. So Jude generously gave him some money to play with. Musa placed the bet for himself and then encouraged Jude to try it too. Jude handed over more money and Musa placed the bet for him as well. They both sat down to watch the match, and to their surprise, all their games won on Saturday. With only the Sunday matches remaining, they waited anxiously for Sunday to arrive. And when it did, they returned to the viewing center to watch the remaining matches. Luck was on their side again, and they both won a huge amount of money. Jude was overjoyed and offered Musa a token of appreciation from his winnings. Even though they had won the same amount of money, Musa, acting like a boss, collected the money without hesitation, even though he had only won because of the money Jude had given him to play with. Jude used his winnings to send his sister Lisa to the university. He managed to make ends meet with the little he earned from his job. Meanwhile, Musa squandered his own winnings on drinking, womanizing, and eating excessively. Despite this, they continued to bet together, sometimes winning and sometimes losing. Musa even encouraged Jude to start betting on his own, and Jude began to develop a passion for it. One evening, Jude called Musa to invite him to watch a match together, but Musa declined, saying he was busy with his girlfriend. Jude pointed out that they had been friends for a long time, and yet he didn't know where Musa lived or had met his girlfriend or any of his family members. Whereas Musa knew Jude's place and sister, Musa replied that his family was in the city and he was alone in town, but hopefully Jude would know his house soon. Jude cut the call and went to watch the wrestling alone. On a whim, he decided to try his luck by betting on 4 matches that evening, using a small amount of money to potentially win 20 million. To his surprise, all the games won and Jude was overjoyed. Overjoyed, he called his friend Musa and shared the good news with him after cashing out the money the next day. Musa quickly ran to Jude's place to congratulate him in person. Jude decided to split the money equally, giving Musa 5 million while keeping 15 million for himself. Musa was over the moon with joy and showered Jude with praises. Jude then asked Musa what he planned to do with his share of the money. Musa replied that he would think about it. But Jude already had a plan in mind. He told Musa that he intended to invest his share in a business venture, hoping to grow his wealth further. Musa's life took a drastic turn. He squandered his share of the money on extravagant night outs, lavish spending, and reckless betting. He frequented bars and clubs, buying rounds for strangers and flaunting his wealth. Women flocked to him, drawn by his newfound status and generosity. In no time, Musa's money was finished. Jude had invested his money in a foodstuff business and was now his own boss. He was determined to succeed and worked very hard. His success came at the cost of his social life, as he was often too exhausted to watch wrestling matches after closing his shop late. Meanwhile, Musa was facing a crisis. His landlord had given him an ultimatum: pay the rent by next day or face eviction. Desperate and frustrated, Musa reached out to Jude for help. When Jude asked about his share of the 5 million naira, Musa claimed he had invested it in an online business that was yet to yield any returns. Trusting his friend, Jude sent him some money to cover his rent and expenses until his online business took off. However, unknown to Jude, Musa had squandered the 5 million naira on lavish parties, expensive drinks, and reckless gambling. As the days went by, Musa continued to struggle. He was stuck in a cycle of debt and deception, and he didn't know how to escape. Jude, on the other hand, was ignorant of Musa's trouble. He was busy running his successful business and enjoying the fruits of his labor. He had no idea that his friend was drowning in debt and desperation. One morning, Musa called Jude again out of desperation. "Please, guy, I need some cash from you, and it's urgent. My life depends on this, please," Musa said. Jude, sensing the urgency in Musa's voice, asked him to come to his shop so they could discuss the matter in person. Musa arrived at the location, his eyes widening in shock as he took in the sight of Jude's massive, well-stocked shop. "Wow, who owns this place?" Musa asked in shock. Jude laughed. "My friend, it's my shop. I just opened another branch in town. I'll be leaving this one for my manager to manage while I handle the new one." Jude revealed. "Wow, did you have money somewhere before? Or did you open the shop with the 15 million we shared?" Musa asked. "Well, let's just say it was the 15 million. But let's forget about that for now. What's going on with you? What debt were you talking about on the phone the other time?" Jude asked. "I was scammed in an online investment. As I'm talking to you, I'm in debt of 2 million. I need help, Jude," Musa said nervously. "I'm really sorry, guy, but next time, don't invest online. I'll give you 4 million. Pay the 2 million you owe and invest 2 million wisely," Jude said, sympathizing with him. "Thank you so much, Jude," Musa said gratefully. Jude smiled and said, "Amen. The hustle is against poverty, not friends. But make sure you do physical business and make wise decisions." Musa returned home feeling relieved and grateful for Jude's help. But as he walked into the door, a stupid thought spread across his mind. He started laughing to himself, thinking, "Why bother with business when Jude is there to work and give me money? My job is to enjoy his wealth." He laughed out loud, feeling a sense of entitlement wash over him. Then he pulled out his phone and dialed one of his girlfriends, inviting her over to keep him company. "Hey babe, I just got some good news. Come over and let's celebrate," Musa said, his voice dripping with excitement. The girlfriend agreed, and Musa spent the rest of the day lounging on the couch, waiting for her arrival. When she walked in, he greeted her with a charming smile and a bottle of chilled champagne. As they sipped their drinks and chatted, Musa couldn't help but feel proud of himself. He thought, "I'm a genius. I've got that fool working for me, and I get to enjoy the fruits of his labor. After all, I'm the one who taught him how to bet, and now he's reaping the financial rewards." Musa continued to live lavishly, believing that he could always rely on Jude for more money. He didn't realize that his deception and irresponsible behavior would eventually catch up with him soon. Jude's business continued to thrive. He had opened a new branch in the city and was enjoying the financial freedom he had worked so hard for. He was also giving his sister Lisa the life he had always wanted for her. Musa, still living a life of luxury and entitlement, had started to squander the 4 million naira Jude had given him. He had invested none of it in a physical business as Jude had advised, and instead, he used it to fund his lavish lifestyle. He had convinced himself that Jude was his personal ATM and that he could always count on him to bail him out. He didn't even bother to pay his outstanding debts. 2 months had passed since Jude last heard from Musa, so he decided to reach out to him by phone. They exchanged pleasantries, and Jude promised to visit Musa over the weekend when he came to check on his shop. Musa was thrilled and sent Jude his new home address, eager to reconnect. Just after their call, Jude's manager phoned him about an emergency. A customer wanted him to be present while she bought foodstuffs because she wanted larger quantities. Jude, feeling free and available, decided to handle the issue personally and headed to his old town for an unplanned trip. Upon arrival, he efficiently carried out the transaction. Since he was already in town, he thought it would be a good opportunity to visit his friend. However, when he tried calling Musa's cell phone, it wasn't going through. Determined, Jude decided to try his luck and headed to the address Musa had provided. As Jude arrived at the address, he noticed something odd. The houses in the compound were luxuriously furnished, not what he expected from someone struggling to pay debts. He knocked on a random door, and a well-dressed woman answered. "I'm looking for a friend, Musa. He lives here," Jude said. The woman replied, "Oh, Musa, that troublemaker. You seem gentle. How come you are friends with a jobless and deceptive man who only knows how to change women?" Jude laughed. "Musa is not a troublemaker." The woman pointed to a flat, and Jude walked towards it. As he approached, he overheard a lady talking to Musa. "Use the remaining money to start something before it runs out," she said. Musa laughed. "Even if the money finishes, Jude is my personal ATM. He will send me more. With a friend like Jude, I don't need to work. He barely doubts me, so I'll keep taking money from him while we both enjoy ourselves." The lady asked, "What if Jude finds out later that you've been lying to him?" Musa replied, "Sweetheart, he will never find out, trust me." Jude's eyes widened in shock as he listened to Musa's conversation with the lady. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Musa, his supposed friend, had been lying to him all along, taking advantage of his kindness and generosity. The truth hit like a ton of bricks. He felt betrayed, angry, and disappointed. Jude wanted to enter and confront him immediately, but he decided to calm down and think things through. He didn't want to confront him in front of the lady. He needed time to process the information he had just discovered. After a moment of contemplation, Jude decided to leave without seeing him, choosing to walk away from the situation and gather his thoughts before deciding on a course of action. Later in the night, at Jude's place, he couldn't shake off the thoughts of what he had just heard. He thought about the 5 million naira he had given Musa and how he had been squandered on a lavish lifestyle instead of being invested in a physical business as promised. His mind raced with questions. How could Musa have betrayed his trust so callously? Did he ever really consider him a friend? Or was it all just about what he gets from him? What about the lady inside Musa's house? Who was she? And what was her role in all of this? Jude decided to move on and block Musa's number from reaching him. During the weekend, Musa called Jude's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Musa tried again and again, but Jude had made sure to block his number. For 2 months, Musa was still trying to reach Jude, but his calls went unanswered. Meanwhile, Jude focused on his business and his sister's school, enjoying the peace and progress. Musa, on the other hand, had squandered all the money he had, and his debtors were chasing him about. Desperate and in a tight spot, Musa tried to reach out to his friend again, this time using one of his girlfriend's number. To his surprise, the call went through. When he answered, Musa complained about being unable to reach him for 1 month and asked for an urgent 1 million, claiming he was in a distressed situation. But he received the shock of his life. "Never call this number again," Jude said. And with that, he ended the call. Musa was shocked, defeated, and more desperate than ever. Musa was stuck where he stood. He couldn't believe Jude had hung up on him. He had never been cut off from his financial support before, and he didn't know how to handle it. He tried calling him again, but his number was still blocked. In fact, Jude had taken it a step further and blocked the number he had used to call him earlier, making it impossible for Musa to reach him. Musa's debtors were on his neck, and he had no money to pay them. He had squandered every last kobo, and now he was facing the consequences. He began to panic, wondering how he would get out of this mess. One by one, his girlfriends, including the lady Jude had overheard him talking to earlier, began to abandon him. They had only stuck around because of his wealth and lavish lifestyle. And now that he was broke, they saw no reason to stay. Musa was left alone, with no one to turn to. And then his phone rang. It was his sister from the village. "Brother, Mama is very sick. Please, we need money for medication," she said, her voice trembling. Musa's response was immediate and angry. "Can't you see I'm going through a tough time? Go and look for money yourself. Don't bother me with any family problems right now." And with that, he ended the call, leaving his sister in tears. But then an idea entered his mind. Why not use his sisters to set up Jude so she could get money from him? Jude had never met any of his family member before. He quickly called his sister back, and she picked up while crying. Musa apologized for the way he spoke to her earlier and lied to her, saying that a friend of his had scammed him and had taken all his hard-earned money, which was why he was so unhappy. Mirabel sympathized with him, and Musa continued to spin his web of deceit. "You can help me get the money back from him," Musa said, his voice laced with desperation. "How?" Mira asked, confusion evident in her tone. "Why don't you report your friend to the police?" she advised. Musa refused, saying that the police wouldn't help him since his friend was powerful. "You are my only way out, Mira, and I promise you will have enough money to pay your school fees." Mira agreed to help her brother, but she was hesitant. "Okay, I'll do it, but how do I go about it? I don't even know the person, and how do you think he will accept me?" Musa's response was quick and calculated. "There is someone this friend loves so much in his life. Her name is Lisa. She is his sister, and she also in the same university as you. I will send you her picture and department. Make sure you trace her and make friends with her. You can get to her brother through her." Mira agreed to help her brother, but she had no idea that he was only using her to get to Jude. Little did Mira know, she was about to become a pawn in Musa's game of greed and deception. After all the call, Musa sent Lisa's photo to Mira. Mira downloaded the photo and was shocked to see Lisa. Lisa was in the same hostel as her. Although they weren't close friends, Mira couldn't believe the coincidence. She called Musa back, her voice trembling with excitement. "I know her. She's in the same hostel as me. We aren't close, but I know her." Musa's response was eager. "Wow, you are my lucky charm, Mira. Now you have to be close with her so you can get to her brother." Mira replied, "Okay, bro, I'll do it." Then they ended the call. Musa jumped on top of his bed, pumping his fist in the air. "I'm a very lucky boy. My luck will never run out. Jude, I'm coming for you with full force. Meanwhile, back at the hostel, Mira started to observe Lisa more closely. She noticed that Lisa was friendly and well liked by everyone. She was always busy with her studies, but she also made time to help others. Mira thought that becoming friends with Lisa might not be too difficult. The next day, Mira decided to make her move. She approached Lisa in the hostel's common room, where Lisa was reading a book. Hi, Lisa, Mira said, trying to sound casual. Lisa looked up and smiled. Hi, Mira, how are you? I'm good, thanks. I was wondering if you could help me with something. I'm struggling with our math assignment, and I heard you're really good at it. Lisa's smile widened. Sure, I'll be glad to help. Come, let's sit down and go over it together. Mira sat down with Lisa, feeling a bit nervous, but as they worked on the assignment together, she started to relax. Lisa was kind and patient, and Mira found herself genuinely liking her. Over the next few days, Mira and Lisa spent more time together. They studied together, ate meals together, and even went for walks around the campus. Mira felt guilty about her brother's plan, but she kept reminding herself that she was doing this for her family. One evening, as they were walking back to the hostel, Lisa asked, So, Mira, do you have siblings? Mira hesitated for a moment before answering, Yes, I have a brother. His name is Musa. He's been going through some tough times lately. Lisa looked concerned. I'm sorry to hear that. Is there anything I can do to help? Mira forced a smile. Actually, there might be. Do you think I could meet your brother? Maybe he could give me some advice on how to help Musa. Lisa nodded. Of course. My brother Jude is always willing to help. I will arrange for you to meet him. Mira felt a mix of relief and dread. The plan was in motion, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was betraying Lisa's trust. A few days later, Lisa introduced Mira to Jude. Jude was polite and friendly, just as Lisa had described. As they talked, Mira could see why Lisa admired her brother so much. He was hardworking, kind, and generous. But deep down, Mira knew she had to go through with the plan. She couldn't let her brother down, even if it meant deceiving these good people. As they said their goodbyes, Jude gave Mira his phone number. If you ever need anything, just give me a call, he said with a warm smile. Mira thanked him and promised to stay in touch. As she walked away, she felt a pang of guilt. She was about to betray the trust of a kind and generous man, all because of her brother's greed. Back in her room, Mira called Musa to update him. I've met Jude, and he seems really nice. I don't feel good about this, Musa. Musa's response was harsh. Don't be soft, Mira. Remember this is for Mama. You need to get close to Jude and get as much money as you can. Do whatever it takes. Mira sighed, feeling the weight of her brother's words. She knew what she had to do, but it didn't make it any easier. Musa was growing impatient, constantly calling Mira and asking if she had made progress with Lisa. How long does it take to make friends with someone? He would ask. I need money, Mira. And you need your school fees too. Please be fast with whatever you are doing. Mira tried to explain that forming a genuine friendship with Lisa took time, but Musa wouldn't listen. He kept pressuring her to be fast, to get Jude's attention so they could start getting money. One day, Lisa invited Mira to join her on a walk. Mira was thrilled, seeing it as a sign their friendship was growing. But as they walked, Mira's phone rang. It was Musa. How is it going with Lisa? He asked urgently. Have you gotten Jude's attention yet? Mira replied she would call him back, then cut the call. Lisa asked who it was. Mira said it was her brother and she would talk to him later. When she was alone, she called Musa back. He asked if she had gotten Jude's attention. Amira replied she didn't meet Jude and needed more time. So he needed to be patient. Musa's response was angry. Patient? You want me to be patient? My debtors are on my neck, Mira. I need money from Jude. Mira felt anxious, knowing she had to end the call but also kept Musa calm. I'll try my best, bro. Please trust me. But as she hung up, Mira knew she was in trouble. She was caught in the middle of her brother's game and she didn't know how to escape. Before the weekend, Lisa told Mira she would be going home. Mira saw an opportunity. She begged Lisa to take her along. And after some emotional blackmail with tears, Lisa agreed. Lisa and Mira traveled to Lisa's home, which was also Jude's house. Mira was nervous as they arrived at Jude's house. She had finally gotten close to her target, but she knew she had to be careful. Lisa, your home is beautiful, Mira said, trying to sound friendly. And what about your parents? She asked, trying to get more information. Before Lisa could answer, Jude appeared, smiling. I'm her only family, he said. Mira was surprised by how handsome and charming he was. For a moment, she forgot about her mission and was attracted to him. But she quickly remembered why she was there. This man cheated my brother, she thought to herself, feeling conflicted. Jude approached them, looking at Mira. Lisa, your friend is beautiful, he said, his voice smooth. Lisa and Mira smiled, but Mira's smile was fake. I'm very hungry, Lisa said, looking around. Is there any food in the house? Jude laughed. You didn't tell me you were coming home today, so I didn't prepare anything. Well, we can go out to eat tonight, and tomorrow you can cook. Lisa smiled and hugged her brother. That's my brother, she exclaimed, her eyes shining with love. Mira smiled, but she was still on guard, thinking about her next move. As they prepared to go out for dinner, Mira noticed how close Lisa and Jude were. They seemed to have a special bond, and Mira found herself admiring it. But she wasn't going to let her mission down. Over dinner, Lisa got a call. She excused herself to respond to the call. Mira and Jude exchanged awkward smiles, but eventually they started talking. So Mira, what do you study? Jude asked, his eyes sparkling with interest. I'm studying business administration, Mira replied, trying to sound confident. That's great, Jude said. I'm sure you will do well. How about your parents and siblings? My parents are fine. I have 3 siblings, Mira said. I'm sure they looked up to you, Jude said, his voice warm and friendly. As they continued talking, Mira found herself opening up to Jude. She told him about her family, her dreams, and her fears. Jude listened intently, his eyes never leaving hers. Are you single or in a relationship? Jude asked, his voice gentle. I'm single, Mira replied, trying to sound casual. That makes 2 of us, Jude said with a smile. I've been too busy with work to focus on relationships anyway. Mira nodded understandingly and he continued. Lisa means the world to me. By the way, she's my only family and I'll do anything for her. She's been through a lot and I want to make sure she's happy and safe. Mira's heart warmed at his words. She could see the love and devotion in his eyes, and it made her feel a little guilty for her mission. After finishing their meal, Jude asked the waiter to pack takeout for Lisa, who had left her food to answer the call. While waiting for her sister, he suggested they take a walk to the car. Mira agreed, and they strolled through the cool evening air. You know, Mirabelle, Jude said, his voice low and gentle. I really enjoy talking to you. You are smart, beautiful, and kind. What more could a man ask for? Mira blushed, feeling a flutter in her chest. She knew she had to stay focused, but Jude's charm was making it difficult. After some time, Lisa came from nowhere and apologized for taking so long on her call. She asked if her own food was ready, and Mira handed her the package. They all entered the car and Jude drove away. On the way home, Mira sent a WhatsApp message to Musa, who had called her several times. Mira informed him that she was currently in Jude's car and they were heading to his house. Musa replied with a smile emoji and wrote, "All the best." They all got to the house and Jude told Lisa to make Mira comfortable as he would be heading to sleep since he had to go to work early. Lisa quickly brought her food and ate while Mirabel was sitting down with her, just chatting on her phone. The next day, being Saturday, Jude dropped some money for Lisa to prepare food before he left. In the evening, when he returned, he was welcomed with the good aroma of food. Mira had helped Lisa cook, and the smell was everywhere. Jude called out to Lisa to serve him. As he was very hungry, Lisa served him food, and to Mira and Lisa's surprise, Jude, who didn't eat much, finished the food. He complimented Lisa on her cooking, saying it was very well done for the first time, but Lisa replied, "It's Mira, my friend, who cooked it." Jude was impressed and complimented Mira, even bringing money from his pocket and giving it to her as a token of appreciation. Mira was very happy because she needed money. On Sunday afternoon, Lisa went to the mall to get provisions for school, leaving Mira alone in her house. Why Jude called out to Lisa but got no response. He decided to walk towards Lisa's room, only for Mira, noticing his footsteps, decided to pretend she was making a call, begging her brother for school fees because her exam was approaching. Hearing the conversation from Mira, he quickly knew that the person on the other end wasn't ready to help, so he gently knocked on the door. Mira pretended to end the call. Jude asked her what was wrong and she broke down crying, saying her parents and elder brother weren't ready to pay her school fees and her exams was approaching. She was just crying. Jude pulled her from the ground and sympathized with her, promising to give her the school fees and asking her not to cry anymore. Mira was surprised by Jude's kindness. She had thought he would be mean and heartless, but instead, he was being very helpful and understanding. She felt bad for trying to trick him, but she pushed that feeling aside and remembered her goal. "Thank you, sir," Mira said. "I really appreciate your help." Jude smiled and patted her shoulder. "Don't worry, Mira. I'm happy to help. You are a friend of my sister, and that makes you a friend of mine too." Jude gave Mira his phone number and told her to call him if she needed help with anything at school. He also asked for her account number so he could send her money. Mira was very grateful and quickly sent her account details to him. Jude sent a lot of money to her right away, and Mira was so happy that she hugged him. Just then, Lisa walked into the room and cleared her throat to get their attention. Jude apologized and excused himself. Mira ran to hug Lisa, thanking her for her brother's help. Lisa was happy to see Mira and her brother getting along, but she was also a little surprised that they were hugging after only knowing each other for 2 days. "I'm happy for you," Lisa said, "but we need to get back to school now." So they packed their bags and Jude dropped them off at the bus station. Before saying goodbye, Mira asked Jude if she could call him sometimes, and Jude said yes. Mira and Lisa got on the bus and went back to school. As soon as they got back, Mira called Jude to thank him again and let him know she arrived safely. Jude told her to take care of herself and Lisa. Mira said she would. The next day, Mira used some of the money given to her to pay her school fees. Then she called Musa and told him that Jude had given her a lot of money. Musa told her to send all the money to him, but Mira said she needed to pay her school fees first. Musa said her school fees weren't important right now. She should send him all the money. Mira decided to send him most of the money, but kept some for herself without telling him. She wisely paid her school fees without letting Musa know. Musa called Mirabel back and said, "I got the money you sent. You are the best sister ever." Mira smiled and thanked him. Then he reminded her, "Make Jude love you, but don't love him back. This is a trick. Do it right. Remember, he cheated your brother, so don't be kind to him." Mira promised. I won't fall for him. I will get all your money back, no matter what." They both smiled, happy with their plan, and hung up the phone. After her call with Musa, Mira attended her lectures but struggled to focus. She wondered what she could do to win Jude's heart and make him fall deeply in love with her. After some thought, she laughed and refocused on the lecture. Later, she met up with Lisa in the restaurant. They bought snacks and grabbed a bite to eat before heading back to their hostel. Mira then called Jude, who was happy to hear from her. She thanked him for the money which she had used to pay her school fees. He smiled and encouraged her to stay focused on her studies. Mira asked if she could send him the receipt of the school fees on WhatsApp, but he replied that it wasn't necessary. However, Mira insisted and he eventually agreed. Instead of sending the receipt, Mira sent her beautiful photos. He complimented her on her appearance, and Mira apologized, claiming her phone had malfunctioned and that the photos were meant to be the receipt. He replied that it was fine and that she was very beautiful. Mira thanked him and asked for his photos in return, but he said he didn't take photos due to his busy schedule. Mira responded with a crying emoji and went offline. Jude called her back, apologizing for not taking photos and suggesting she ask Lisa for a picture of him instead. Mira insisted that she needed him to send the photo to her himself. Jude eventually agreed, saying she could take as many photos as she wanted when she and Lisa visited him again. Mira continued talking to Jude daily without Lisa's knowledge, and this went on for over 6 months. During this time, Mira used various tricks to collect a significant amount of money from Jude, often claiming her father or mother was sick or needed financial help. Sometimes he even offered her money without her asking. Mira started feeling guilty, realizing that Jude didn't seem like the person Musa had described. She began to suspect that her brother was using her to take advantage of Jude's kindness. Despite this, Mira had successfully made Jude fall in love with her over the few months they had been talking. Mira's conversations with Jude continued, and she found herself enjoying their talks more and more. She started to feel a pang of guilt every time she tricked him into sending her money. His kindness and generosity were genuine, and she began to question Musa's true intentions. One day, Jude asked Mira about her family, and she found herself opening up to him about her struggles. Jude listened attentively and offered words of encouragement. Mira felt a sense of comfort and support, and for the first time, she wondered if she was doing the right thing by deceiving him. As the days went by, Mira's conscience grew stronger. She started to feel like she was taking advantage of his good nature, and the guilt weighed heavily on her. She began to make excuses to avoid asking him for money, but Musa noticed and grew suspicious. "What's going on, Mira?" Musa asked over the phone. "You are not getting as much money from Jude as you used to. Is something wrong?" Mira hesitated, unsure of how to respond. She didn't want to admit her growing feelings for Jude or her doubt about Musa's intentions. "Nothing, bro. I just need to work on my approach, that's all." Musa's tone turned stern. "Remember, Mira, this is a game. Don't get too close to him. We need to get all the money we can from him." Mira nodded. Even though Musa couldn't see her, she knew she had to make a choice. Mira's mind was troubled by Jude's persistent calls, asking for a response to his romantic proposal. "Mira, when will you give me a reply? I've been asking you to be my woman for over 2 months now," Jude said. "I really don't want to hurt Lisa. How will Lisa feel if she knows I'm having something to do with you?" Mirabel asked. Jude smiled from the other end of the call. "Well, I already told Lisa my feelings, and she gave her approval." "Are you sure?" Mira asked. Jude replied, "I don't tell lies. If that's the case, just give me some time to think. I'll surely give you a reply." Mira told Jude. And Jude replied, "How long will it take? It's been 2 months already. Or you don't like me?" Mira replied, "Not so. I really like you." "But what?" Jude asked. "Don't worry. We will see during the weekend. I will visit you," Mira said. "You are free to come visit. Just let me know when you will be coming, so I will know how to reschedule my appointments at the shop." Jude replied, "I will come on Friday, then return on Sunday. My final year exams are approaching," Mira said. During the weekend, Mira told Lisa that she would be visiting her brother's place. She asked Lisa to join her because it wasn't proper to stay with Jude alone in the house. Lisa replied that she had too much work to do and couldn't make it, suggesting that Mira invite him over instead. Mira explained that she had already promised to visit him. Lisa assured her that her brother is a nice person who wouldn't take advantage of her. Mira arrived a bit late at the park in Jude's city. Jude, being a gentleman, waited for her patiently at the park. As they drove to the place, Mira couldn't help but think that someone as nice as Jude couldn't possibly be a scammer. She was determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. Jude decided to stop by the eatery on their way to pick up some food for their evening meal. When they arrived at his place, Mira was surprised to see that it has undergone significant transformation since her last visit. Mira dropped her bags and headed to the kitchen to pick up a plate to dish the food they had bought, while Jude freshened up. As they sat down to eat, Jude asked Mira if she was ready to accept him now as her man. She replied that she had already accepted him by agreeing to visit his place. He smiled, held her hands, and promised never to hurt her. Mira asked Jude if she could ask him some questions, and he agreed. She asked what someone could do to him that he wouldn't forgive. He replied that he hated lies and wouldn't forgive anyone who lied to him. Mira felt terrible, knowing that she had been deceiving him all along. She asked if he had ever scammed or cheated anyone before, but he replied that he hadn't and that he hated cheaters and liars. Jude asked Mira why she was asking so many questions. Mira replied that she was just getting to know him better. After they had finished eating, he asked her to go rest since she had a long trip from school. Then she headed to his room to sleep. While in Lisa's room, Mira felt miserable. Everything she had been telling Jude were lies, but she was very sure he was not a bad person. And she didn't know when she started having feelings for him. She was restless, so she left her room and walked around the big house, feeling restless. After some time, she went to Jude's room, opened the door, and saw him sleeping peacefully. She wondered how she would tell him the truth. She tapped him and told him she had something to say, but he dragged her into bed and told her they would talk tomorrow. He cuddled her and they both slept peacefully. Meanwhile, Musa was at his place, enjoying himself with some groups of friends. They were drinking and partying with girls in his house. The next morning, she woke up with a scream. Jude was on the phone, shouting at someone. One of his workers had lied to him, and he screamed, "I don't forgive liars. I hate liars. You are fired." The words sounded like Jude was talking to her. When he noticed his call woke Mira up, he quickly apologized to her. Mira was frightened by the way he was shouting. She had never seen him in a such mood before. After he apologized, he reminded her that she wanted to say something the previous night. Mira told him that it was nothing, that she felt lonely, so she came to his room. Jude replied, "So sorry about that. We can both share this room if you are okay with it." "No problem," Mira said. She left the bed and went to the kitchen to prepare something for breakfast. While cooking, she was lost in thought and ended up burning the egg she was frying. Jude perceived the smell from his room and ran to the kitchen to turn off the cooker, only to see Mira lost in thought. He asked Mira what was wrong with her, what the matter was, But Mira replied that nothing was wrong. Regret for her lies was written all over her. Jude told her, "You can't say nothing. Something is worrying you, Mira. Final exams are in 2 weeks. So many things are going on my mind. After school, what next?" She lied. "My love, just read and write well. After school, you don't need to worry about that. You can manage one of my shops. And besides, soon you will be my wife." Jude replied. Mira smiled. "I'm sorry about the burnt food. Let me prepare another one." She left him and went to prepare another meal. After they finished eating, Jude excused himself to his shop, promising he wouldn't be gone for more than an hour. As Mira was washing the dishes they used, Musa's call came in. She picked up and Musa asked why she had stopped sending him money. Mira replied, "How much did Jude scam you?" He slaughtered for a few minutes before responding, "I need money, don't ask me useless questions." Mira replied, "I know he didn't scam you, but I will get to the root of this matter." He shouted, "Keep quiet! I need money today." Mira replied, "I'm not sending you any money. Besides, I'm in love with him. He's a nice guy. I love him so much and I can't hurt him anymore." Musa laughed from the other end of the call. "You fool! You better straighten your brains. I told you to play a game. I didn't ask you to fall in love. If I don't get money today, you won't like what I will do to you," he threatened Mira. After Mira hung up the phone, she thought to herself, "I should tell Jude the truth. He hates liars, so it's better he forgives me or ends the relationship." Just then, Jude sneaked up behind her and held her. Mira smiled and said, "Welcome back, dear." He turned her around, held her face and asked, "My pretty baby, can we go out tonight?" Mira agreed, but asked what they would do. He suggested, "Firstly, let's swim in my swimming pool outside. Then we can go out and explore the city." Mira agreed, and they spent the afternoon swimming and enjoying each other's company. After swimming, Mira felt tired and refused to go out. Jude had planned a surprise outside, but since Mira refused to go outside, he changed the plan. So he called some people to decorate his house while Mira was resting. When everything was ready, Jude asked Mira to put on a beautiful dress he had bought for her. She was hesitant but eventually agreed. He led her to the sitting room, which was dark. When she got to the spot he wanted, he turned on the light, revealing a beautifully decorated sitting room filled with roses and balloons. He held her hands, brought out a ring and asked, "Will you marry me, Mira?" Mira smiled but then remembered her lies. She shouted, "No, I can't marry you, Jude. I'm not worthy of you or your love." He smiled. "What do you mean you are not worthy of me or my love?" Mira replied, "I'm a liar, Jude. I've been lying to you. Everything is a lie. I'm so sorry for hurting you." Just as Jude tried to slap her, Mira realized it was just her imagination. Jude held her hand and asked again, "Will you marry me, Mira?" Mira stammered, "Yes, I will." He put the ring on her finger and hugged her tightly. "I love you, my love," he whispered in her ear. Mira replied, "Same here, dear." After a while, Jude asked, "What next?" Mira smiled, "Nothing. After your exams, we can visit your family and I'll introduce myself to them and do the necessary traditional rites to make you officially mine." Jude responded, "Don't you think everything is happening fast?" Mira asked, "I'm not getting younger, and since we love each other, what should we wait for?" Jude inquired. "It's fine there," she added. "I'll be leaving early morning, so I don't get to school late." "You won't be leaving early, dear. Spend more time with me, or is my presence irritating you?" he asked. "No, dear, I just want to get to school and focus." Mira added, "All right, I will drop you off at school tomorrow," he assured her. After eating, they cuddled and slept. The next day, Jude left early to buy food and provisions for Lisa and Mira. When he returned, he took Mira to school and used the opportunity to visit Lisa, who was happy to see him. He handed them the provisions and money, but Mira refused the money. He insisted and she finally accepted it. He bid the girls goodbye and drove back to his city. Mira headed back to the hostel with Lisa, who teased her about the ring on her finger. Mira blushed and ran away from Lisa, trying to escape her questions. Just then, Musa called, his voice harsh and demanding. "Where is the money I asked you to send?" Mira replied firmly, "No more money for you, Musa." Musa threatened, "If that's the case, I'll call Jude and tell him I sent you to him." Mira pleaded, "Please don't do that, Musa. I will send you money tomorrow, unfailingly." Musa ended the call, laughing to himself. "My little sister thinks she can outsmart me, but she forgot I'm smarter than her. I'll be blackmailing her from now on. Let's see if she won't send me money." After the call ended, Mira felt terrified. "I don't know if I should open up to Jude," she thought. "But if I do, I might lose him. I can't afford to lose him. I truly love him, and my life would be meaningless without him." She was torn. How can I keep giving Musa money? I don't want to keep taking money from Jude. She felt trapped and unsure of who to turn to for help. 2 weeks later, Mira finished her final year exams and returned home to her parents. Musa continued to call her, demanding money, but she begged him to give her time, claiming she is still waiting to receive money from Jude. As soon as Musa's call ended, Jude's call came in immediately. Mira answered and Jude said, "My love, please tell your parents that I'll be coming with my kinsmen to see them by the weekend." Mira replied, "I will do just that." They ended the call with their usual affectionate exchange. "I love you and I love you too." After the phone call, Mira informed her parents that her fiancé Jude would be visiting with his kinsmen. She implored them to keep the news from Musa, and if Jude inquired about her elder brother, they should say he is abroad. Her father questioned the need for deception, but Mira promised to reveal the truth after the marriage. Mira's father wisely cautioned her that starting a new chapter in her life, like marriage, with a lie or deception, might have unforeseen consequences and potentially come back to harm her or her relationship in the future. He encouraged her to be truthful and transparent from the beginning, rather than hiding things and risking potential problems down the line. However, Mira assured him she would disclose everything at the right time. He eventually agreed. Jude arrived with his kinsmen, and Mira's parents welcomed them warmly. Jude introduced himself and his kinsmen. Mira's father asked questions about his personal life, and Jude answered thoughtfully, sharing that he is an orphan and promising to care for Mira, whom he loved deeply. When he inquired about Mira's siblings, her father replied that her elder brother is outside the country, while the younger two were in school. The family set a date for the marriage, just 3 weeks away. Mira blushed when it was announced. After the discussion, Mira went to wait for Jude at his car. The lovebirds exchanged sweet smiles and romantic words before Mira bid Jude and his kinsmen farewell, her heart filled with joy and anticipation for their future together. As the wedding day approached, Musa remained unaware. Mira continued sending him money to keep him pacified and unaware of the marriage plans. Finally, the day arrived, and Jude and Mira tied the knot in a beautiful traditional marriage ceremony. Jude's family and business associates joined in the celebration. Just as the ceremony was underway, Musa's phone rang. He answered, and a friend, Kingsley, was on the other end. "Hey, are you around?" Kingsley asked. "Around where?" Musa replied, confused. "At your house. I'm currently enjoying your kid sister's wedding, which is taking place right now. Are you inside? It's been a while. I wanted to see you." Musa's eyes widened in shock as he exclaimed, "Wait, Do you mean one of my sisters is getting married? Kingsley replied, Yes, Mira is getting married. I thought you were around. Anyway, take care. The call ended, leaving Musa stunned and trying to process the news. Meanwhile, the wedding ceremony continued without a hitch. Jude and Mira exchanged their vows. After the successful ceremony, Jude, Mira, Lisa, business associates, and his kinsmen traveled back to the city. Back in the city, Mira turned off her phone to avoid Musa's calls and messages. She spent quality time with her husband, and they finally consummated their marriage. Jude surprised Mira with a beautiful mini supermarket, which made her incredibly happy. They spent their days enjoying each other's company, getting intimate countless times. Jude promised to love Mira forever, but she knew the promise would soon be broken because she couldn't continue lying to him. Meanwhile, Musa tried calling Mira multiple times, but she was unreachable. He sent countless messages, but none were replied. He grew frustrated and called his parents, accusing them of marrying off his sister without his knowledge. He demanded they send him Mira's new home address, which they reluctantly provided. Upon receiving the address, Musa smiled mischievously, thinking, She thinks she can turn off her phone and avoid me. Let's see her reaction when she sees me at her doorstep, he said, laughing. The next morning, Jude dropped Lisa off at the park as she could return to school. With the house now empty, Mira prepared to head out to the mini supermarket. But as she opened the door to leave, she was met with a shocking sight that left her speechless. Mira's eyes widened in terror as Musa approached her doorstep, his eyes blazing with anger and betrayal. You deceived me, Mira, he growled. You lied to me, and now you are hiding from me. You turned off your phone so I couldn't reach you. Mirabelle trembled, knowing she had to face the consequences of her actions. Musa, please understand, she pleaded. Let's go somewhere and talk, she urged, desperate to avoid a scene. If Jude sees you here, it won't go well for me. Please understand. But Musa cut her off, his voice rising. No, you understand. You've been lying to me. You got married to my enemy and kept me in the dark. Mira knew she had to think fast or risk losing everything she had worked for. Musa, listen to me. I'll tell you everything, but please don't ruin my marriage. Jude loves me and I love him. Don't take that away from me. You must be mad, Musa shouted. I will leave now, but turn on your phone, and if I don't reach you next time, you won't like what I will do to you. I promise I will turn on my phone, but please don't ruin my marriage. I love Jude so much, and you can at least do that for your little sister. Sister indeed, Musa sneered, his voice dripping with malice. I'm going for now. Send me 1 million naira before evening or else. Mira assured him, her voice shaking. I will, I promise. Musa left the compound, leaving Mira shaking and crying. How long will I continue like this? What have I gotten myself into? She sobbed before composing herself and heading to the supermarket. Mira's day at the supermarket was a blur. She couldn't shake off the encounter with Musa and the threat he had made. She knew he had to send him the money, but she was scared of what he might do next. As she closed the supermarket and headed home, she received a call from Musa. You have 1 hour to send the money. Mira, if I don't receive it, I will make sure Jude knows everything. Mira's heart raced as she quickly sent the money. She was relieved when Musa confirmed receipt, but she knew this was far from over. That night, Jude noticed Mira's distress. What is wrong, my love? He asked, concern etched on his face. Mira hesitated, unsure of how to cover up the truth. I had a problem with one of my employees at the supermarket, she said, fabricating a lie. It's been stressing me out all day. Jude's expression turned sympathetic. I'm sorry, Mira. Don't worry, I'm here for you. Mira felt a pang of guilt for deceiving Jude again, but she knew she had to protect herself from Musa's threats. She hoped that one day she could reveal the truth, but for now, she was trapped in her web of lies. As they went to bed, Mira's mind raced with thoughts of Musa and the secrets she had kept hidden. She knew she had to find a way to end this before it was too late. For 6 months, Mira continued sending her brother money, draining the supermarket funds. The one thriving business was now on the brink of collapse. Mira couldn't pay her workers, and one of them, frustrated and angry, came to Jude's home to confront Mira. Jude, unaware of the supermarket's struggles, had been focused on his own shops and the building he bought for Mira's parents. But when he saw the confrontation between Mira and the worker, he was shocked and concerned. The worker unleashed a torrent of insults, revealing the supermarket's dire state: empty shelves, no restocking, and unpaid wages. Jude was stunned, feeling betrayed and deceived. He took Mira inside and demanded answers. "Why didn't you restock and pay the workers?" he asked, his voice firm but controlled. Mira hesitated, unable to provide a convincing excuse. I, I used the money," she stammered. Jude's anger fled. "What did you do with the money, Mira? Tell me the truth." But Mira couldn't meet his gaze. Her lies and deceit exposed. Jude stormed out of the house, determined to see the supermarket for himself. What he found was a shocking sight. The one thriving business was now a barren, empty space. After seeing the empty shelves in the supermarket, Jude was both shocked and angry. He couldn't understand what had happened to the thriving business he had set up for his wife. He needed to know where all the money had gone. Jude decided to call the bank to get the statement of the shop account. When he received the statement, he was even more shocked. He saw that Mira had been sending large sums of money to someone named Musa. Jude couldn't understand the connection between Mira and this Musa. His anger and curiosity grew. Determined to find the truth, Jude stormed back to the house. When he got home, he found Mira in their bedroom, crying uncontrollable. Seeing her like this made him feel a bit of pity, but his need for answers was stronger. "Mira," Jude began, his voice firm and controlled, "who have you been sending money to? Say the truth and tell me the connection between you two." Mira knelt down, tears streaming down her face. "Please, honey, I'm sorry. Musa is my elder brother. I lied and said he was abroad, but he wasn't. He has been using me to scam you," Mira confessed, her voice breaking with sorrow. Jude's eyes widened in disbelief. "Your brother? Why didn't you tell me the truth? Why did you lie and say he was abroad?" Mira sobbed harder. "I was scared, Jude. Musa told me terrible things about you. He said you were a bad person and that you would hurt me. I didn't know what to believe. And then, when I fell in love with you, he started blackmailing me. He threatened to ruin our marriage if I didn't send him money. That's why I didn't tell him about our wedding." Jude's fury grew. "Why didn't you come to me? Why did you let him control you like this?" "I tried, Jude. I really did," Mira said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I was scared. I didn't want to lose you. I thought if I kept him happy, he would leave us alone. But it only got worse." Jude felt a mix of anger and sadness. He couldn't believe that Mira had been living in fear and lies because of her brother. "So Musa has been blackmailing you this whole time?" Mira nodded. "Yes, and now that I'm married to you, he wants more money. I don't know what to do." Jude's face hardened. "I can't believe this. You should have trusted me, Mira. You should have come to me with the truth." "I'm so sorry," Mira cried. "I was just so scared. I didn't know what else to do." Jude stood up, his anger boiling over. "I need some air." he said, storming out of the house. Mira watched him leave, feeling utterly hopeless. She knew she had betrayed his trust and that things would never be the same. She had let her brother's threat control her life, and now she was paying the price. Jude walked around the neighborhood, trying to calm down. He couldn't believe everything Mira had told him. He felt betrayed, but he also felt sorry for her. He knew that she had been scared and manipulated by her brother, but it still hurt that she hadn't trusted him enough to tell him the truth. As he walked, he thought about what to do next. He couldn't let Musa continue to blackmail Mira, but also didn't know how to fix the mess they were in. He needed to come up with a plan, but first, he needed to cool down and think clearly. After walking for a while, Jude decided to go back home. He needed to talk to Mira and figure out a way to deal with Musa. When he got back to the house, he found Mira still crying in the bed. Mira, he said gently, we need to talk. Mira looked up at him with tear-filled eyes. I'm so sorry, Jude. I never meant to hurt you. I know, Jude said, sitting down next to her. But we can't keep living like this. We need to deal with Musa once and for all. Mira nodded. What do? We will start by cutting off all contact with him. Jude said firmly, no more money, no more phone calls. We need to show him that he can't control us anymore. But what if he tries to ruin our lives? Mira asked, fear evident in her voice. We will deal with it together, Jude said, taking her hand. But we can't let him keep blackmailing us. We need to be strong. Mira nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope. Okay, I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. Jude squeezed her hand. We will get through this, Mira, together, okay? For the first time in the months, Mira felt a sense of relief. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but with Jude by her side, she felt like they could face anything. They would deal with Musa and rebuild their lives together, one step at a time. After the confrontation and difficult revelations, Jude and Mira decided to rebuild their relationship. They talked about everything, promising each other to be honest from now on. Jude understood that Mira had been scared and manipulated by her brother, Musa. He forgave her and they both decided to move forward together. Jude knew the first step was to fix the supermarket. He invested money to restock the shelves, hire new workers, and get the business running again. Mira was grateful and worked hard to make the supermarket successful once more. Meanwhile, Musa had been quiet for a few days. Jude and Mira hoped he would stay away, but deep down, they knew he wouldn't give up so easily. One afternoon, Jude tried to call Mira, but she didn't answer. He felt a bit worried and decided to visit her at the supermarket. When he arrived at the supermarket, he saw Musa standing outside, looking angry. Jude took a deep breath and walked up to him. Musa didn't know that Jude already knew the truth about everything. Jude decided to act calmly and see what Musa had to say. Musa, what are you doing here? Jude asked, trying to sound normal. And who gave you my number? Musa sneered. You fool. You are married to my sister and she's been collecting money from you to send to me. Jude pretended to be surprised. Really? Mira never told me that. Musa laughed mockingly. Yes, she has been lying to you all along. While Musa was talking, Jude secretly recorded everything he was saying on his phone. Jude stayed calm and continued to ask questions. So, Musa, you've been getting all this money from Mira. Why didn't she tell me? Jude asked. Musa, feeling confident, replied, because she's scared of me. She knows I will ruin her life if she doesn't do what I say. Jude nodded and said, thank you for confirming everything, Musa. Now I know that my wife wasn't lying to me. Musa's face fell. He realized that Jude had tricked him into confessing everything. Just then, the sound of police sirens filled the air. Musa turned to see several police officers arriving and surrounding him. One of the officers stepped forward. Musa, you are under arrest for blackmail and fraud. We have all the evidence we need. Musa's face turned pale. This isn't fair. You can't do this, he shouted, but the police officers quickly handcuffed him and led him away. Jude watched as Musa was taken to the police car. He felt a mix of relief and sadness. He hoped this would be the end of their troubles with Musa. Jude went inside the supermarket and found Mira. She had seen everything from the window and was crying. Jude hugged her tightly. It's over, Mira. Musa can't hurt us anymore, Jude said softly. Mira nodded, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, Jude. I'm so sorry for everything. I promise I will never lie to you again, no matter what. Jude smiled and wiped her tears away. I know, Mira. We will move forward together and we will be happy. With Musa cut out of their lives, Jude and Mira focused on their future. The supermarket started to thrive again, and they both worked hard to make it a success. They spent more time together, growing closer and building a strong, honest relationship. Mira learned the importance of trust and honesty in a marriage. She vowed never to keep secrets from Jude again. They faced challenges together, supporting each other every step of the way. Jude also felt a deep sense of relief. He knew that they had gone through a difficult time, but he was proud of how they handled it. He loved Mira even more for her bravery and honesty. Months passed and life became peaceful and happy for Jude and Mira. They enjoyed their days working at the supermarket and spending time with each other. They even started planning for their future, talking about having children and building a family. One day, as they sat together in their cozy home, Jude looked at Mira and said, I'm so glad we found each other, Mira. No matter what happens, I know we can face it together. Mira smiled and held his hand. I feel the same way, Jude. I love you and I will always be honest with you. Jude kissed her forehead and replied, I love you too, Mira, always. And so, Jude and Mira lived happily ever after. They learned that love and trust are the most important things in a relationship. They knew that as long as they were honest with each other, they could overcome any challenge that came their way. The most important lesson in this story is the significance of honesty and trust in relationships. Mira's initial dishonesty, driven by fear and manipulation from her brother Musa, nearly destroyed her marriage with Jude. However, when the truth was revealed and they faced the problem together, they were able to rebuild their relationship stronger than before. This teaches us that being truthful and transparent, especially with those we love, is essential for building a solid foundation of trust and overcoming challenges together. And with that, my dear friends, our story comes to a close. But remember, the magic of storytelling lives on, waiting to whisk us away on new adventures, where the wonders of imagination know no bounds. Goodbye for now, and may your dreams be filled with joy, wonder, and endless possibility. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly comment, share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting stories.